Hello everybody. So today we're going to talk about line practice. Now what's the big deal about lines? Why are they so important? As we start our drawing unit, what is the big deal with lines? And so the big deal with lines is that everything that you see when we're talking about drawing is made up of lines. Everything that you see. From the floor to the chair to the table to people to the sky, everything that we see is made up of lines. The trick is how to put those lines into a particular order so that they represent what it is that we are visually seeing. Because we don't actually take a person and slam them so violently against the paper that they then become flat. Okay, that's not how that works. Our eye translates what we see into different lines to create that shape. And it really is just as simple as that. And it's also just that hard. So the first thing that we're going to do is an exercise in line practice. It is exactly what it sounds like. We're going to practice drawing different types of lines. But first, we're going to do a magic trick. So I want you to take your piece of drawing paper. Everybody should have some drawing paper. And we're going to fold it in half. We're going to do a magic trick. I hope you're ready. We're going to fold it in half. Some people call this a hamburger fold. If you folded it the other way, they might call it a hot dog fold where it's lengthwise. But we're going to fold it hamburger fold. I call it delicious open bag of chips, get in my belly fold. We have just reduced the surface area of our paper by 50%. And now we're going to take it and fold it again in half. Again, some people call this a hamburger fold. I call it delicious open bag of chips, get in my belly. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We're not doing origami. That's later where neatness counts a little bit more. You want to be as neat as you can be, but it's not essential. Okay, it is now 25% of its original size, 75% smaller than the beginning, and 50% smaller than it was just a second ago. So we're going to take it and we're going to fold it in half one last time. Again, some people call this a hamburger fold. I call it delicious open bag of chips, get in my belly. Okay, and now it is 1/8 of its original size, or 22.5% of its original size. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this paper and we're going to whisper the magic words and flick the paper. Now, I don't know what your magic words are. That's all on you. Okay, you ready? Okay, and you flick the paper. That is for the magic to happen. So what we're going to do is now unfold our paper. And behold, we have transformed one rectangle into 16. And if you say, but Miss Gamble, I only have 8, flip it over. I know. Now, take your right hand, reach across, pat yourself on the left shoulder and say, good job. Because it's important to give yourself positive reinforcement. All right. Now, where did I put a pencil? Here's one. You want to put your name on here. It's always important to put your name on here. I'm going to call myself example today, but you want to actually put your name. That way I'll know whose it is when I'm grading it. Okay? And this handout is actually on the internet for you to look at. And this has all of the different types of lines that we're going to be making. Okay? So I'm going to label everything first. This one's going to be vertical. And this one's going to be horizontal. And it is important that you spell them correctly because they're written on the paper. So don't be lazy. Diagonal. Okay. Curved. Angular. We'll talk about these specifically in just a second, so you'll know exactly what kind of lines they are. Zigzag. Bent. I'm going to label them on the back as well. You don't necessarily have to go in order. It's just easier. That way you don't forget anything. Straight, which is not what you're thinking of. Interrupted. Thick. Thin. Parallel. Crosshatched. And spiral. So we have one space left over. I like to call this, oh man, I messed up space, just in case, because you just never know when you might need something like that. All right, so we're going to flip this over and start on this side. Okay? So vertical lines, and I don't want you to do anything yet. Don't do anything until the video is over and I say, okay, it's your turn. Okay? So pencils down. I feel like I'm in a testing situation. Pencils down. So vertical lines go up and down. You know, people talk about what's your vertical in basketball? That's how high up in the air you can jump. Horizontal lines go side to side, just like the horizon. good way to remember that. Diagonal lines go at an angle. And I know what you're thinking, Miss Campbell, this is the most exciting creative art project we will ever do. Of course it's not. But we can make it more interesting. So how can we make it more interesting? What are some ways, without changing the type of lines that are here, that we can make it more interesting? Let's think. Color. Yes, we can add color to this. Excellent. Ooh, that's a good one. We can put some of them close together and leave some of them far apart. We can make some of them thicker and leave some of them thin. We can make some of them broken, even though that's still a vertical line. So we can add variety to our work to make it more interesting. Now we can add color, and I'll show you an example in a second of really what I'm looking for. All right, we're going to keep going. So curved lines are curved, and you want to fill in the whole rectangle as you do this. I'm going quickly. This should take you a little while to do it and do it well. We'll come back to angular in just a second. Zigzag lines are like Harry Potter's lightning bolt scar or chevron. You know, you could make Christmas trees at this point, but they all have to be ziggity zags. Okay, and bent lines look like your fingerprint. Do not color in your fingerprint with a marker and then call it done, because that's called cheating and that's not allowed. So no. All right, so let's talk about angular for a second. We've all met the 2-year-old that scribbles everywhere, just everywhere. There's no rhyme, there's no reason. Angular lines are a controlled scribble. A controlled scribble. Okay, so we want to think about where we're going with our scribbled line. So let's say I want to fill in a space and make it appear that one side has more shading. What do? That's right, I put it closer together. I'm going to talk to you like you're actually here with me, okay? So we're going to put it in, and it's going to appear to be closer together. Okay, and then I can include the shadow for this, and you see how that is a controlled scribble. It had a plan with it. So that is angular. Okay, let's talk for a second about straight lines. A lot of people say, well, I can't draw a straight line even with a ruler. Well, you're in luck, you don't have to. So this is alternating vertical and horizontal lines into a specific pattern. It looks kind of like the bottom of a basket. You can change the color of it. You can add some different things. Now, interrupted is easily the most annoying lines on the planet, because when you are, let's say you're doing a line and I go, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What's going to happen is dots. And so that's what interrupted is. The closer together I put my dots, the darker an area will appear. The further apart they are, the lighter an area appears. There's an entire movement in painting called pointillism that uses nothing but interrupted lines, because a line that's going for a walk that is constantly interrupted is a dot. So interrupted lines are dots. Okay? Thick lines are thick. You can vary how thick they are and which direction they go. They can be any which way. Thin lines are thin. You want to vary how thin they are, because they're only thin in comparison to something else. Okay? What do we know about parallel lines from our math class? That's right. They go on and on and on, forever and ever, and they never touch. Ever? They never ever touch? Well, what if they're in love and they want to go to the movies and hold hands? No, they can't. They're parallel lines. What a ridiculous question. They don't even have hands. So, parallel lines in math class go on and on forever, and they never ever touch. However, in art class, we're going to do sets of parallel lines. So these lines obviously would touch, and I'm not going to measure them because I just don't care. And I'm going to be particularly weird because I'm going to bend my parallel lines. Now, obviously they're not perfect, but these are parallel lines. Okay? Crosshatched are lines that overlap, kind of like your hashtag symbol, but more complicated. Okay? And these are great for defining planes, not airplanes, but flat surfaces. So what I'm going to do, again, if I want to make an area up here darker, what do? That's right, I color it in more. Okay? So I'm going to make this. So now you see that it looks kind of like a box. Okay? And if I want it to be lighter, I just don't color it in as much. Okay? And last but not least, we have spirals. You know, just different types of spirals. So this is what I want you to do for today's assignment. And it'll take you probably a couple days. We'll work on it all week, so you can work on it in between other assignments. But we want to make these colorful. We want to make them interesting. I don't want you to use just a pencil. You need to add some color to this to make it more interesting. So there's one side, and there's the other, and I'll have these posted so you can see what it is we're supposed to be doing. You will need to take a picture of both sides of your paper. I wouldn't use Sharpies because Sharpies will bleed through to the other side. I can't wait to see your line practice.